I don't drink soda.
Yo, welcome to the Natural Habitat Podcast, everybody. My name's Mikey Booyah.
My name is Mikey and Ty, and this is our co-host, Computer. Computer, say hello. Already? Computer, say hello. Hello.
All right, that's what I thought.
The only artificially intelligent podcast host on the internet.
That's right.
That we know of. Free
Candy's also not here. Now, before we get into this episode, we do have a startling, what's it called? Like development, right?
A revelation even?
A revelation, yeah. So last week, if you guys joined us last week, we were here, we were talking, we were squawking, we were guacking. We had guacamole, you couldn't see it.
Yeah, we were walking even.
We did walk.
We did walk
We walked a little bit. And then we finished up the episode. And we were hanging, we were banging.
We were slanging. We were slanging birds.
Slanging birds. We were ganging. We were
Ninja Turtle cranging.
Yeah. And then, I mean, who should tell what happened? I mean, how much do you remember?
Well, obviously I wasn't aware when this happened, so maybe you should tell the story of like what happened.
So we for people that watched last week's episode, that Ty ingested a lot of substances. You had a 5-hour energy on the table.
5-hour energy.
You had a Warhead 4 Loco.
Warhead 4 Loco.
You had some water, but I didn't see you drink any of it.
Yeah.
Then after we did the episode, you smoked some weed.
Yeah, I hit the bong twice.
Which you haven't been smoking weed at all.
Not much at all. So my tolerance is very low. But I just remember after I hit it the second time, like I was kind of like, oh, things are getting fuzzy. Like, and I think I asked you for some water or something like that. And I was, uh-oh.
Yeah,
like,
you said
something's happening right now. And then next thing I know, like I'm waking up and you're on the phone with 911.
Yeah. With the 911.
I apparently like fainted or lost consciousness for how long was it?
It was like no more than a minute, probably less, probably about 30 seconds altogether. But you had kind of like, I brought you some water. You sat down, you took a drink, you kind of like nodded it off. And then I was like, hey man, you all right? Like, and then you didn't answer. Then you started making like a weird, like gargling breathing noise. And then, you were, I don't want to say seizure, but it was like seizure-ish.
That's crazy.
Seizure-like, seizure adjacent.
Yeah. Like, I kind of had like the anesthesia feel, like, when they first give you anesthesia and you just slowly start fading. And then like that's next thing I know, I'm awake. And then I would say probably like an hour or so after that, I was, like coherent, but not fully, didn't fully have my bearings again for an hour or so. And that's never happened to me. I've been smoking weed since I was like 12 years old, almost every day. Not recently, but so I can't imagine it was the weed. I don't drink 4 Locos every day. That's a very, very seldom thing for me. So maybe it was the 4 Loco
and the Warhead.
It could have just been
combo.
like a perfect storm of these concoctions.
Yeah, it was a mishmash.
Toxins that I had ingested in my body, and whatever it was very scary, very concerning.
Now, another thing that you brought up to me is that Jerry had returned last week.
Yeah. I mean, draw your own conclusions, but all of a sudden Jerry's back in the fold.
He did a coffee
bitter.
run.
I walked off set because I was furious that Jerry is back, and I'm sure Jerry wasn't pleased about that. So I mean, I'm not saying that Jerry poisoned me because that could be potentially slanderous, but I'm alleging
there's a
that
chance
Jerry possibly poisoned me.
There's a chance that could happen, and we are going to do.
It could have happened.
We're going to do a full investigation on this.
He had the motive and he had the opportunity, and that's a lot of times, all a good investigator needs to.
That's all you need, or that's all a predator needs to. I would assume that this was some sort of like roofie or like fentanyl type thing.
I don't know. Like I at least would have gotten high, right? Like if it was fentanyl.
I think so.
Like I didn't feel like I was super,
and
aside from.
And I don't think fentanyl hits you like hours later. Like it's, it had to have been, if it was on the weed, I also would have been fentanyl, unless I'm like, I could be a fentanyl addict and I don't even know.
I mean,
some people do fentanyl. Do you know that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's very popular.
Yeah. So actually fentanyl is a great, segue into today's topic, which is finding the line. Last week we brandished the gun for a lot of the episode. We said Proud Boys. We said Proud Girls. We said rape. We said a lot of things you're not supposed to say.
Yeah.
And everything was fine.
Yeah. After the fact, we were like, we said a lot of things maybe we shouldn't have. Maybe this algorithm's going to bury the episode and we're not going to get a whole lot of views. But I mean, really, it exceeded the average.
Yeah.
So the algorithm was fine with it. YouTube was completely fine with the subject matter that we had talked about. So that makes us, wonder like where is the line? Like how far can we push this envelope before it falls off the table and gets us a strike?
And and we already have one channel strike, which we brought up a few weeks ago. That channel strike is for, something that we did in bad taste that, wasn't even made for the public. This was a private episode, or not even an episode, just a private video. And
now, do you think we'd get another strike if you vividly described what the strike was for?
Now, I don't think it would be good. And it could get us another strike, but that's kind of what this episode's all about, right?
Pushing the envelope.
Because you get 3 strikes, you're out on YouTube.
It's like baseball.
And also 3 strikes, you're out on seizure-ish episodes. So that's just 1 for you. So I'm glad you're still doing good.
Yeah, me too.
And so we have the 1 strike for the GIF, and then we have the 2nd strike that we can get, maybe today, maybe in the future. Whenever we find this line.
It's almost certain to happen at some point.
Yeah. And then the 3rd strike, that'll be our safe zone. We'll never get the 3rd strike.
Yeah. Once we know how far we can push the envelope, we'll not going to do it again. We're not going to cross the line.
We're so sorry. We'll never
Once
do it
we find the line, we're gonna stay on the proper side of it.
So we're gonna be trying fentanyl for medicinal purposes. We're gonna be saying things that you're not supposed to say.
Things about 9/11.
Yeah, things about actually we can unveil that. The copyright strike that we got was for a GIF that I made on 9/11, which this was 11 years or more past 9/11. So that's like the line, I think, for me. 11 years after a tragedy, tragedy plus comedy, or tragedy plus time equals comedy.
Yeah, you give it a decade and then tack on another year for good measure. For safety.
Because that's like the grieving year afterwards. So the count doesn't really start until a year after. So you got 11 years. And then it's kind of fair game to make fun of. Yeah. So this was well past then. I made a GIF. This is back when boomerangs were first becoming popular, where it does a short video that does a movement and then goes back and then forth.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And forth, Like you would do one of you like hitting a joint and the smoke
I forgot
would go
about
in and out
those
of your mouth.
when Instagram released that feature. I think that's where it started, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instagram.
So I made this GIF, a boomerang that was a person, we'll say, that was falling from the World Trade Center, from like one of these buildings. So they're falling down. They're real small. You can't see like any of their face or like their outfit or anything. It's just kind of a little speck. And then they go up and down, and they go up and down, and then it says, never forgive.
Did it have like a sound effect that went like... Like
no
whistling.
audio. This was no audio. This was just a GIF, just your standard moving picture. Never forgive. It kind of was just for the joke of that it was a GIF. I sent it to Matt and I said, hey, I found this on Giphy.com. Can you imagine? Like, why would they make this? And I had to upload it to YouTube to download it on my phone in a lower quality. But I did it privately, didn't go out to anybody, but I still got the strike, the forever strike that won't ever go away. They'll never forgive.
That seems a little ridiculous to me, but...
That's ironic.
I mean...
I like it.
Who are we to question the algorithm as we've established that it's, all-seeing, all-knowing.
So we're going to be trying to find that line today. We're going to be talking about cancel culture. We're going to be, unveiling some new arcs that we're going to be taking on the show. Jerry may or may not be joining us later on screen to hash this out. Yeah,
I got something for Jerry right here.
And
I'm going to shoot Jerry with this gun. I'm going to shoot him.
Okay. That's good. That's good. That's good. One step closer to the line, baby. Yeah. So, we, for people that don't know, this is the Natural Habitat Podcast. We are,
didn't we already say that?
Yeah, but I was doing like another, that was like a transition into, right. We are, almost 20 years in the game here.
Has it been that long?
2006. So we're looking at like 17 years.
Crazy.
Since we did the first episode of JSC Radio.
Time flies.
Yeah. And I mean, back then it was a radio show that mostly played music, but still, I'm going to count it. And we've been through all these ups and downs, and we've seen all of these culture shifts. A lot of downs. And, we had to do a lot of scrubbing on our pages. We had to remove a lot of things.
There's still probably a lot of stuff that needs
every
to go.
day. Things become unacceptable that we got to get out of there.
And as society retroactively enforces their new standards on past content, which is...
And I remember once... No, never mind. I don't want to tell people because then they'll go find it. I'm just going to tell them myself.
They're going to dig it up.
Go listen to the old episodes. Maybe you'll find some stuff, and then you could, just know it was a different time, So, cancel culture... which actually is a very new thing. People used to just get away with everything.
I mean, to an extent.
I mean, you would go to jail after a while, but there is just kind of like, there's like shitty character flaws. That always was the trope back when I was a kid, that like, if your boss was an asshole and like a womanizer and would treat everybody like shit, that's just how it was, and you had to deal with it. But now, if a guy does all those same things, you could just get him fired.
That's right.
Bada boom. Easy peasy.
It's easy as pie.
But it never used to be that way. It used to just like...
there was a lot more leeway and a lot more, kind of look the other way for the sake of your personal interests. Whereas now, I mean, even if, like you look at... like Saturday Night Live. Like Saturday Night Live willingly canceled Shane Gillis and, fired him from being a writer at the detriment of, have you watched Saturday Night Live? It's awful. Absolutely terrible. And Shane Gillis is a funny guy. He probably would have written some great sketches. So, I mean, they canceled him to the, much to their own chagrin.
And then it ended up being, I mean, I think Saturday Night Live would have killed Shane Gillis and would have just made him... he probably would have like had some cool like movie roles and stuff, but he wouldn't be what he is now. Like he's
that's true.
One of the top rising comedians, and Gillian Keeves. I don't know if you ever watched any of those videos, his like sketch videos that he makes.
Yeah,
on his YouTube channel.
Yes.
Yeah, those are lit and way better than anything that SNL has done in years.
Oh, absolutely.
And they used to. I'm so sorry. SNL used to push the envelope.
Yeah, like how is even SNL even gonna like 5 years from now? Can you imagine like if society keeps devolving or evolving the way it has been with what's acceptable? Like what is Saturday Night Live even going to be able to touch on?
Yeah, and we also want to make clear that when people do shitty things, like they should pay. There should be consequences for things. Like, we're not saying that cancel culture is wrong per se. We're not saying that it's a bad thing. Like, people should have some sort of... they should have to answer somehow for the things that they do. But to an extent...
also be... like more nuance and kind of like, instead of just, you did something bad, like you never work in this town again. Like, I think it should be more like going into what exactly they did.
Yeah.
And, like the punishment should fit the crime. So, like Shane Gillis says, like something offensive in a joke a decade ago, he shouldn't be facing the same consequences as Harvey Weinstein, who raped a bunch of women or whatever. You know what I mean? Like there needs to be,
So Shane Gillis, like all he did was and it's funny because I was listening to something where he was talking about what got him in trouble at SNL. And he was like, when I found out that I was in trouble for something I said on the podcast, I was like, oh no, like, what is it? And then when they told me what it was like the most mild thing. And he was like, thank God that they didn't look any deeper. Cause like, I definitely have said a lot worse things than that. And what he said, a racist term for a Chinese person.
Yeah.
Which
I mean, like that's a shitty thing to say, but I mean, like in the context of him being a comedian, like it's not like he's like Kanye, who has no business like throwing out worldviews that I mean, can we talk about is Kanye safe to talk about?
Nah, Kanye's still off the table.
Yeah,
cancel Kanye. But it's one thing to like. I think that cancel culture does encroach. What's the word? Encroach. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a word.
On free speech.
Absolutely.
And like, I think that they give words and things too much power, whereas you can say,
I mean, you just said it.
I did. And
I wouldn't say it.
I probably shouldn't have said it, and I might even beep it. But saying it is like, it's just saying it. Now, calling someone it, that's insane. That's like a whole other thing. But saying a word, I think should, like you said, the punishment should fit the crime. It's not like he went out, found an Asian person, yelled it at him. He said it in a joke on a podcast, like with his friends. I think that those are two different things. But
that also is kind of an outlier as far as like, that's one that, like he probably shouldn't have gotten canceled. But you look at a lot of the things that people are getting, quote unquote canceled for, it has to do with, like look at, like for instance, Justin Roiland or I mean, even Andrew Callahan, like those are more serious when you're not like joking or saying something on a podcast. You're
actually affecting someone in life. And that's different. And there should be like repercussions for that. And that is why cancel culture has so much power, is because it started with the Me Too movement, which is something that everybody stands behind. Everybody is like, like women shouldn't be victimized by men and like have them just get away with it. So
and I get that, because I mean, like that at no point has that ever been accepted. So like you can retroactively go back and be like, hey, like I was sexually assaulted in 2005. That's still like a valid, like that shouldn't have happened. Whereas like with comedy or entertainment or whatever, like maybe certain words and certain things were a little bit more accepted in the 90s. I mean, there's like a song called it was acceptable in the 80s, which is like it predates all of cancel culture, but it was just kind of like about
so this was your Harvey Weinstein, your Louis C.K.'s, your high profile sex perverts, actual sex.
Yeah, these guys are going out there. They're flashing women. They're pulling their cocks out. They're
coming
in some cases raping them.
That was like a big thing.
Just doing all kinds of weird things with their dicks.
Was it Harvey Weinstein would like come on a plant?
That was Louis C.K.
Louis C.K. would come on the plant?
Yeah, he was the plant comer.
Oh, okay.
I think Harvey Weinstein was just being like, hey, if you ever want to have another role in a Miramax movie, you're gonna have to suck my dick.
Yeah.
And then I think when when Gwyneth Paltrow refused, I think he force her or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Computer, what did Harvey Weinstein do? I don't even remember.
Harvey Weinstein is an American former film producer and convicted sex offender. He and his brother, Bob Weinstein, co-founded the entertainment company Miramax, which produced several successful independent films including Sex, Lies, and Videotape, The Crying Game, Pulp Fiction, Heavenly Creatures, Flirting with Disaster, and Shakespeare in Love.
Some of those titles are ironic as fuck.
Yeah, really, I love how out of all the titles, those are the ones that they picked.
That's great.
He is a film director and convicted sex offender.
But yeah, he did some wild things to women that you absolutely can't get away with. And he probably, I mean, he's in jail, isn't he? Like he was not just like canceled like to where he can't work anymore. Like he's been convicted of serious crimes.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, they're just basically like having something, that wasn't necessarily a crime, that wouldn't get them any sort of charges pressed against them or anything like that. Little things are costing people their jobs and their influence in their respective fields.
Yeah. And that's what it started with, the Me Too movement, where everybody was like, hell yeah, cancel him.
Yeah, 2017 on Twitter. I mean, any chick that had a grudge, or an axe to grind, like started airing out all their old dirty laundry, whether it was, something serious or, hey, this guy flirted with me back in, '04. And I think I'm a victim because I wasn't into him.
Yeah. And then Me Too kind of, I think it lost a lot of its steam with the Aziz Ansari thing. You remember that?
What did he do?
So he was having consensual sex with a girl, but it was just weird. Like he was bad at it.
Yeah.
And he like put his finger in her mouth or something and she felt uncomfortable. But like she was in the middle of having sex with him, which she was agreeing to have. But he just did weird stuff that like made her feel weird.
Yeah, like if you willingly have sex with somebody just because like you didn't enjoy it, and
he like put his fingers in her pussy and then in her mouth, and then she was like, "I'm a Christian, like you can't do that to me." That scarred me for life. And then everyone was like, "Well, wait, just like a bad sexual experience, which a lot of people have had,
we've all
now counts as a Me Too. So now if you have an uncomfortable." Every sexual experience has to be fucking off the hook.
And that kind of sounds like it's what's, I'm going to reserve my judgment because I don't know exactly, but based on some of the accusations, some of the accusations against Andrew Callahan are similar. These are women that willingly engaged in sexual activities with it, or at least, plan to. And
now, Andrew
after
Callahan,
the fact, they regret it and say that he was too pushy about it. But it's like somebody has to initiate sex, and like I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a kind of a gray area, right?
Yeah, I do feel like in his case, he was like exhibiting behavior that like has long not been acceptable. Yeah,
he's doing like the Pepe Le Pew thing, just really, really coming on too hard.
Yeah, like negging girls and shit, and like fucking that clip that I sent you where the guy's like fucking, can I at least get a ride? Can I at least get a ride? And he was just like doing the most and just being like an asshole. And I think blue balls as an excuse, like that's I think blue balls counts as coercion now.
Yeah, and then
it has been for years.
But at one point maybe it was acceptable.
It was when we were like 16, 17, like when this was happening with Andrew, like his age. But he's 24. So it's like that wasn't that long ago for him. We have an extra decade on him.
It's okay for us to do these things because we came up before the internet, before Twitter,
before cancel culture.
So like we were
babies.
Yeah, we were at no risk of being aired out in the Me Too movement. So
yeah, a lot of the stuff that we did, there's no proof of it.
That's gonna make a justification for a lot of our horrible behavior.
Yeah. And so he what else we got in here? So Kevin Hart got in trouble for some tweets. Yeah, then it started going from, people getting attacked and sexually to people making tweets that were racist.
Yeah.
Or homophobic. Those were the two, racist or homophobic. And then it got into like extra things that you couldn't make fun of.
Yeah, and like honestly, I think even if you just post anything the slightest bit like red pilled or leaning right politically, like I feel like you're at risk of being canceled nowadays. And I'm not, I'm by no means a conservative. I'm pretty much, like a moderate, but
well, not to make this political, but isn't it mostly people on the left that are doing the canceling?
That's true.
So I mean, the people on the right don't really care,
and
enough
it's mostly
to
the people on the right being racist.
Yeah.
So I mean,
so it is. It's like I guess they work in harmony together.
Yeah.
And then
you
maybe
you can't have cancel
out.
culture without the leftists canceling people, and you can't have something to cancel without the people on the right saying, anti-Semitic horrible things or being horrible to gay people or whatever it may be.
And then Ellen DeGeneres got fired for
wasn't she just like really shitty to people? She's just like a bitch.
Yeah, she was just a bitch. Just a classic like bitchy celebrity.
And I mean, like, I don't hate that.
How many times?
I don't hate that cancellation. If you're just like a shitty person and like you treat people like fucking garbage.
How many times have you heard that story where they're like, okay, so and so celebrity's coming in, you can't look him in the eye, like don't talk to him.
Yeah.
And then they just come in and fucking they're more important than everyone. Why can't she do that? Yeah. I think she's earned it.
You think Ellen's earned the right to treat people like that?
No. No. I think that she's earned the right to act like she's better than everybody else and kind of treat everyone as if they're below her.
You do think she's earned that?
Not maybe to the extent that she did it, because I think that she like abused people and stuff.
And so much of this like is, like the cancellations are happening without everybody having the full scope and the full context, because we're not, you're not there in these situations. You're hearing, third and fourth hand accounts of what happened. It's like, really, who knows? Who knows like how much of a bitch Ellen was to these interns or these production assistants?
So let's talk about due process. All right, due process. You are supposed to be innocent until proven guilty.
Well, that's if you're charged with a crime. Like these people aren't even being charged with crimes. Like it's not a crime. It's objectively not a crime to be a bitch to somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like unless you break a law.
I don't know. Computer, what did Ellen DeGeneres do?
Ellen Lee DeGeneres is an American comedian, television host, actress, writer, and producer. She starred in the sitcom Ellen from 1994 to 1998, which earned her a Primetime Emmy Award for the puppy episode.
Stop.
Computer, stop. What did Ellen DeGeneres do to get canceled?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, Ellen DeGeneres says farewell to talk show after a 19-year run. However, DeGeneres and the show's producers came under intense scrutiny in recent years after news reports detailed an allegedly toxic workplace. Did that answer your question?
How was it toxic?
From Cornell.edu. Toxic material means a material in concentration or amount of such toxicity.
Computer, stop.
We're used to chat.
Computer, stop. Computer, stop.
We're used to Chat GPT, where when you ask,
I'm gonna fucking blast this.
Hey,
thing.
no, don't do that. Don't do that. He's still part of the show. We need
for
him.
Now.
It's a gimmick.
Can we replace computer like with Chat GPT? Like, can we just like hook up Chat GPT to some sort of like voice
I think we can.
emulation device, and then boom, he's in the fucking landfill.
I know that there's a shortcut that I found where you can use Chat GPT as your Siri on your phone. So whenever you ask Siri a question, it will actually take that question, run it through Chat GPT, and then give you the answer. And like, so like right now, if you ask Siri, for like a recipe for macaroni and cheese.
Yeah. Siri's going to give me an awful answer.
It'll
completely
give you,
unuseful.
It'll say, here's what I found. And then it'll give you a little link, pop-up with 3 links to like, ads, like the ad pages that you scroll past on Google.
Completely worthless.
And then if you ask Chat GPT, give me a recipe for macaroni and cheese, it
gives you a fucking
16
recipe.
ounces elbow noodles, 2 tablespoons butter.
And it's probably a scrumptious mac and cheese recipe. It's a banger mac and cheese.
It's good. It's got like 12 ingredients in it.
all kinds of cheeses that you don't even know existed.
Yeah. You'd be learning about Havarti and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just like a super Siri that you can use on your phone. And then it also can give commands to Siri, so you could still have it like set alarms and all that stuff. It doesn't just go out into the ether.
How do you do this?
ChatGPT. So it's a shortcut that you add on, but the shortcut is in Spanish, so I can't understand it. So I have to like run the text through a translator, which I just haven't done yet. So I tried to set it up like just by what the guy did in the instructional video, and it didn't work. but I think I just put a link in the wrong spot or something.
Right. I bet you by like the next generation or two of iPhones, they'll just have incorporated it into that iPhone tech, like, you know, without having to do any of that.
I bet we could have ChatGPT make us the code for a shortcut to use ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I bet it could I
heard it writes codes. Like, I don't know what am I supposed to do with the code that it's written though? Like if I say, "Hey, ChatGPT, write a code for this, this, and this," and then it writes out this code.
It'll write it out in
it's
HTML.
Bullshit. Like, what do I do with that?
So you have to paste that on the back end of a website,
like in the URL box.
No, like on a website that you own and edit. You have to go into a website as like a moderator, and then go into like the update the page, and then put in the URL. Or not the URL, but the HTML link.
We should have ChatGPT design a website for us.
Yeah,
I'm sure it could. Cool. Probably be better than at least what you know. I can't program or write any sort of code. I don't know what any of that is.
Yeah, no, that kind of
the furthest my experience with code writing was changing my MySpace backward around in 2008.
Oh yeah,
remember that? You would have to learn basic HTML, change the font color and shit. That was a whole
thing.
Yep.
Fuck. Yeah, because there was no easy workaround button.
Yeah, they had little widgets that would do it for you, or would generate it for you, but you'd still have to copy and paste in the.
Mm-hmm. So, you might be sitting here, you might be pissed, you might be like, guys, why are you standing up for predators, which we're not. Why are you standing up for aggressors? Why are you standing up for bigots, racists?
We're not, but we're just saying in a lot of these cases, there's a lack of due process that you would have, with a criminal charge or something like that.
Yeah, like Andrew Callahan, for example, which I already said I don't agree with what he did, but he went from the highest point in his career to within 48 hours, he was denounced by all of his collaborators.
Yeah, and it kind of is telling there that all these people felt compelled that they had to come out publicly and give their opinion on this guy
and separate themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he lost everything off of, I believe the girls that came forward, but that doesn't change the fact that there are false allegations and doctored screenshots and stuff. It's really easy to make a screenshot that you can't tell is doctored, and these Justin Roiland screenshots could all be just photoshopped.
Yeah, and also
but we don't take the time to find that out. It just immediately goes to, well, that person's over, we'll figure that out later. But then the next week it's on to the next person that's getting canceled.
Right. And all these, there's all these things that are left in the wake of these cancellations. And we're not at what point do we say hey, this person still has some value to society.
With Justin Roiland being canceled, that's going to cancel Rick and Morty, which is a whole production team. It's animators.
Tons of people are going to lose their jobs over, some of these cancellations.
And, you can't, I guess there's talk of them replacing Justin Roiland, which it's he does the voice for everybody on the show. He does the voice for Rick and Morty.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll be able to replace Justin Roiland, but there's definitely collateral damage anytime somebody, gets canceled. You got to think about all the other people
get canceled.
Yeah, especially the high profile people.
Too. So there seems to be no road to redemption for some of these lesser offenses.
Yeah, and this is all celebrities and what have you, but at what point is that going to bleed into regular people's lives to where some woman who you had bad sex with a decade ago calls your work and is what, I had sex with Mikey, it wasn't great sex. He did a couple of things, and this is all consensual, but he did a couple of things that I really, looking back, I did not enjoy. And then you're fired from a completely unrelated thing.
Because
is that going to happen soon? Should that happen?
That might happen because I
mean, you better hope your dick game's up to par, or else it might. You know what I mean? You got to be like slinging dick. And
now, does this also go the other way? Can I cancel people that have done weird things to me sexually that I didn't like? Like if a girl tried to go for my butthole, could I like?
No, I think at least
without
up to this point, women have been exempt from any of this, right? Like, do we know of any women that have been canceled for any like weird, sexy stuff?
Let's see.
Roseanne got canceled for being like racist, right? But Kathy Griffin got canceled for being just Kathy Griffin. I'm trying to think of other women that have been canceled, and I'm drawing a blank now.
I'm going to try to ask ChatGPT.
I'm sure ChatGPT knows.
If there's any women who have been canceled.
Harvey Weinstein.
Okay, it's giving me men. It's giving me Harvey Weinstein.
Bill O'Reilly.
Bill O'Reilly, yeah. Have you seen his new podcast?
Louis C.K. These are all men.
Yeah.
Matt Lauer. I forgot about that one.
Uh-huh. Oh, damn. Oof. And he raped
somebody?
Including
rape? T.J. Miller?
Mario Batali?
Not Mario Batali. So
yeah, just gave us a bunch of men.
Women. So I think women, I mean, now granted, I think the majority of sexual assaults do happen on women as opposed to men being assaulted, but still you would think that there would be like one or two in there that would.
Now I have heard
but men probably aren't just going to speak up, you know what I mean? Like, what man is going to go on Twitter and be like, "Hey, I was raped by this woman, or this woman grabbed my dick."
Have you ever been raped?
No.
No. Do you think that maybe our podcast would like blow up if one of us told a rape story about like a time that we got raped by a woman?
Oh, we just lie?
Yeah.
Just tell
and clip it?
I mean,
make it a short?
Okay, yeah. You want to go first?
Okay. It was a dark, stormy night. Okay. I was asleep. I woke up. I was having sex. I fell back asleep. I woke up again in the morning. Sex was over. And then I left the cabin, right?
You're in a
stormy night, cabin in the woods, left the cabin, and there was a woman out there, and she said, "Gotcha." And I, what does that mean?
Were you attracted to the woman?
No.
Oh yeah, that's rape.
That's rape, right?
That's rape.
Yeah. So that I think is sleepy coercion, and hopefully that'll blow up. Now,
should
I say the name? Does
having beer goggles and like sleeping with somebody that you wouldn't be attracted to otherwise, if you weren't drunk, is that like rape?
Did they either buy you a drink, or did they say finish that at any point, like finish that before we go, or chug or anything like that, or did they remind you where your drink was at any point, like, oh hey, you put your drink over here?
I mean, it's quite possible. Look at, Jerry allegedly.
And also a cheers. If someone, does like, hey, cheers, a toast, that's coercion into drinking also. They're forcing you to drink. Because every time you cheers, you have to drink. So they're pretty much just saying, like, you have to drink. So you're not allowed to cheers anymore. And if you've ever cheersed anybody in the past,
it's coercion.
It's coercion. And you should probably call the police now. Or the cancel culture, whoever's behind
cancel culture police.
Cancel culture.
You just post it on Twitter. And
is there a group? Is there like people that are behind it? Like who starts it?
I just thought it was
starts on Twitter,
like liberals on Twitter.
So it starts on Twitter.
And then it's spread into TikTok, which is now like a big thing apparently. And
then it goes to like all the small
Yeah,
independent.
Then like the bloggers start picking it up, and then like if you're famous enough, the news channels will start picking it up. NPR, which is real, like left leaning and just like they don't want anybody doing anything fun. They're gonna pick it up.
So I guess I don't know who we would tell. I guess we would just post about it on TikTok and Twitter.
Yeah, I think that's the only way. I mean, you tell the police aren't going to care. They're going to be like,
I wonder what those hashtags are like.
What?
Like the hashtag. Is there a special hashtag?
Hashtag me too.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, that's what started this whole fucking thing.
All right, cool.
So just write your story and hashtag me too, and then people are going to take up your cause. Now, again, I still think that only women are kind of getting this support when they have these rape stories, but
I think that's turning around. I think that
progressive
gender is like getting more ambiguous, and I don't think gender is really going to matter at all. I think it's just going to be about beliefs. What you believe in is going to be more important than your gender,
right? And
fashion is going to be like real big. I think fashion is going to be big.
Fashion's already pretty big,
but I think it's going to be like big in a different group. Like I think that the tier, there's like tiers of people, and the tier that like normally is behind or minimally into fashion, I think are going to get much more fashionable, and that's like the biggest tier. So fashion.
So you go out and buy yourself some new threads.
Get it now.
Get some new threads, some new shoes.
So, I think that, when it comes to, sexual assault, sexual harassment, obviously, cancel those people. But when it comes to jokes and when it comes to, discussion, freedom of speech is, like a very important thing. It's hard to believe that we stand behind things, but I think that's why we've done like such a like semi-serious episode about this, is because freedom of speech,
I think you have to look
important.
at like the nuance and the intent of the individual. Like for I hate to say the K word, but like Kanye, like he goes out and he says all these anti-Semitic things, and you can tell that he legitimately has hate. He's a hate-filled, angry man saying these things. Whereas like a comedian that said, like a derogatory term for Asian people on their podcast.
I said it earlier, and I got to bleep it out.
No, you're not going to bleep mine. You're going to leave it in there, and then you're going to cancel me.
You're right. Yours is way too
like,
deep.
Look what this guy. You're going to post on Twitter. Look what this guy said. He said, and then I'm going to have a bunch of Asian people coming from my head.
You almost said it again. Yeah, but
So there, do you think that there should be like a linear, like defined path to redemption once you've been canceled?
I think there is. I think it's the 9/11 rule.
It's 10 years plus 1.
10 years plus 1. And that's, Louis C.K. was canceled back in, 2013 or 2015 or something like that. And he's coming up on that. He's playing Madison Square Garden.
But do you think, like, if he gets to a certain like height again, like they're just going to come for him again and be like, "Hey, wait a minute, remember what you did?" And then he'll.
I think it's like double jeopardy. You could only get like tried for the same crime once. I mean, so there would have to be new things.
You look at Hulk Hogan. Like Hulk Hogan had that whole racist tirade, which was hate-filled. If you listen to it, like he was using hard R, N-word, and using it in the context of hate speech.
Yeah,
and he was canceled for maybe 2, 3, 4 years, and then all of a sudden, at least the professional wrestling world, the WWF, and all that,
Hulkamania is running rampant.
Yeah, they welcomed him back with open arms. So I mean, if there's a path of redemption for Hulk Hogan, there should definitely be one for your Andrew Callahans and your Shane Gillises and what have you.
Yeah, and I think that when it comes to like comedians, most comedians, even ones that haven't been canceled, are going the independent route. I think a lot of comedy, like a lot of big specials, are being released on YouTube now, and they're just for free. Not even, you don't have to buy it or rent it or whatever for $2.99. Like it's just on there on YouTube, and then you could donate if you want and buy merch and go see him live and shit. And like Louis C.K. has his website where his specials are, and you buy them off of there and just get them digitally. But like I said, he's playing Madison Square Garden, where he was banned from all these venues for life. So eventually he did slowly make his comeback. And even as a comedian, like, he told a bunch of jokes about the situation. It wasn't even like, you know, sorry about it. He actually did a special called Sorry. His first special after coming back was called Sorry. So, I mean, he didn't take it seriously, obviously.
And then, you know, obviously Harvey Weinstein, like, I don't think, you know, he should have a path to redemption. I don't think he should have any way back into the film industry. And, you know, I think he should serve his jail sentence and then just keep to himself.
Yeah.
But some of these cancellations seem a little bit, you know, over the line.
Yeah.
So.
And it leads to, like, self-censorship and comedy. People don't want to push the envelope. People don't want to ride the line. And, like, things like mainstream shows, like comedy that's made for the masses, is just so, like, they haven't made a funny movie in a decade.
Oh, yeah. There's no good comedy movies anymore.
Yeah. And there used to be, like, funny, raunchy, inappropriate comedy movies that you would just be like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. Think of, like, The Office and, like, Shameless and all this crazy shit that they used to do on TV.
Yeah, even, like, you know, like the Judd Apatow movies of 10 years ago, you don't see those anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you should, because they weren't necessarily all that great, but those, you know, that style of comedy is becoming like a bygone thing.
Yeah. And I think that comedy is, like, one of the last spots where free speech, especially now with everything going independent, like, free speech is still alive and well.
If you can't have free speech in comedy, like, where can you have free speech?
Yeah. So, that's just one of the many effects of cancel culture. It leads to people not exercising their free speech, people being afraid of saying certain things. They pull the line back so far. They say unalived. They say, you know, they don't want to get canceled for anything. So imagine being afraid to get canceled for saying dead or for saying rape on a podcast.
Killed, murder, death.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, we probably should just put a disclaimer and a trigger.
Kanye.
And should we put a trigger
Kanye
warning
West.
on this episode? We can't talk about Kanye West.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're going to need a trigger warning for sure.
Well,
and I'm gonna need
if we have some sort of, like, visual disclaimer in the episode,
49.
will that save us the wrath of the algorithm?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So it just kind of retracts, like, all the points that we made, as long as we just, you know, visually state, hey, this is
a comedy performance. This is a goof. This is not real. This doesn't reflect our actual opinions whatsoever. You don't even want to know what I think about this shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that there should be more steps in place for, especially with, you know, obviously the whole fucking world is up to no good and all pieces of shit. And
everybody's got skeletons in their closet, and
more and more people are getting canceled as more and more things get more inappropriate. And I think that there should be something in play to deal with the aftermath of a cancellation when it comes to all of the people that are surrounding this thing that they're famous for, and them as a person not feeling like they're shunned by society and just kicked to the curb and nobody cares about you, go kill yourself. Like, that's not gonna help deal with any sort of, like, unacceptable behavior, especially when, if this person was, like, Cosbying people, like, fuck Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
He was drugging and raping people. Like, obviously they're a piece of shit. They should never get any opportunity in Hollywood again. And none of us should really keep up to date with what they're doing, you know, like, and that is kind of a unanimous decision by the world. If some, you know, if some website wants to write about what Bill Cosby's doing, nobody's going to be mad at them.
Yeah. You know, not everything's black and white. You've got these 50 shades of gray.
Yeah.
And much like that book, That book's like pushes some things where you could get sexually canceled for, right? Like,
yeah, and it also is like a bunch of, but there's a lot of heavy on consent in that book. Now, before we get out of here, do you want to run through the 50 Shades of Grey real quick? We got concrete.
You've got.
We got smoke.
You've got.
We got gray.
We didn't plan this out.
Light gray. You don't know him?
Like a darker gray.
Yeah,
it's
dark gray. Charcoal. Is that a gray?
It's grayish.
Grayish.
I mean, it's not quite black.
So in conclusion,
be sure to sound off in the comments below. Let us know what you think about cancel culture. Have you ever been canceled? Have you done something that could potentially get you fired from your job or make your closest friends turn on you?
Yeah.
Let us know what that would be
publicly in the comments.
Because I like maybe if you come out with it and, cancel yourself, the repercussions from others won't be quite as severe.
You got to own it. And you got to just be like, hey, this is it. This is me.
Wear it on your sleeve, and then they can't drag you for it later.
Mm-hmm. Like remember Ryan Seacrest? People started making jokes about Ryan Seacrest being short. And then Ryan Seacrest started making jokes about him being short.
And that killed it. Nobody
and then it wasn't
was
funny
like,
anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
And everybody moved on.
And then be sure to subscribe. We're still on the road to 1K. Have we made any progress on that over the week?
We'll check real quick. Thank you everybody for joining, for sounding off. We got someone else sounding off here. Someone else sounding off on the YouTube. Let's see. We're gonna go channel. We got 2 new subs.
2 new subs. So we're making a little bit of progress.
Yeah, it's not gonna tell us who they are. Just gonna say the same fucking people over and over again, but we did get 2 new subs. So what up, 2 new subs? Once again, if you're watching the show and you are subbing, you need to sound off. Let us know, because we are gonna shout you out. We just don't know who you are.
It's not telling us.
It's not telling us. It just tells us the same 2 people, but the numbers are going up. So, thank you, computer. Thank you, Ty. Thank you.
Yeah, be safe out there. Don't get canceled.
We love you. Free candy. Peace.
Natural Habitat Recordings.